What's up, everybody? Everybody still eating meat? Good. No? Shape up. I don't care what you eat. Just messing about. You know, I never thought I'd make one of these videos because I don't like to edit. I like to just shoot, upload for the most part. And I really don't have the time. But some of you have asked me, and since I was in a bit of a peculiar situation at the time, I figured, what the hell? Maybe you'll find this of value. So here it goes. What I eat in a day video. Eating between 4,500, 5,000 calories in an attempt to, as quickly as possible, gain all the weight, and I estimate about 25 pounds, 30 pounds. I had lost during my food poisoning, where I wasn't really able to eat for a couple of weeks. Now, I don't normally eat this much or this frequently, but maybe I'll talk about that in another video because I'm back to my more normal ways of eating at this point in time. Just for reference, I'm 5'11 and a half, 175 pounds on a good day. Those days are coming. That's my target weight anyway. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but soon enough. And fuck it. Let's just get into it. Oh yeah, one more thing. Like I said, I don't really want to spend too much time doing this, so I didn't do anything to light the scene. I'm not gonna color correct the overly blue cast that makes the yellows look white. And, well, I didn't use my fancy camera for this one, so it is what it is. It's not about glitz or glamour, it's about nutritional value, isn't it? So, without any further ado, let's just jump into it. I don't ever weigh my food. I just did it for this video. And what you see is 100 grams of grass-fed butter. Then we got some cream cheese. I'm making egg loaf, by the way. I always eyeball this stuff, but again, because I wanted to know exactly or roughly what I eat as far as calories, I weighed it. Coconut flour, 3 tablespoons of evil carbs, 10 eggs from our meat-eating chickens. After you throw all of that in the blender, dump it in the pan. I put some cheese on top, fresh out of bacon, or I would have put that on as well. That's what it looks like when it comes out, and I ended up eating just about the whole thing by myself. The wife had a piece. I also had some delicious, not kefir, not kefir, not kufur, not coiffeur, kefir. I think that's how you say it anyway. From our goat's milk with a few strawberries in there. More evil carbs. As I told you guys, I sometimes do still, eating more carbs than I tend to. And this video doesn't really show that. I would eat more than that normally when I was eating 45 to 5,000 calories per day because I needed to be able to basically get this stuff in and keep it down. And I find that a little bit of sugar helps to stimulate my appetite and helps me eat more basically. Now somebody had stated that that's bullshit in the comment section. And look, if that's bullshit for you, that's bullshit for you. For me, however, eating a high-fat diet, if I don't add that sugar in there, I could only consume so much fat before I get nauseous and feel like puking. Okay? Now, if I add the carbs, that, you know, I suppose I could just stuff myself and suffer and try to hold it down. But for me, myself, and I, sugar helps. Carbs help me. They just help me eat more food. I'd never be able to eat this much. Anyway, that's my little rant about carbs. More on that later or in another video. What else we got here? Somewhere between 100-150 grams of goat liver. I eat my ruminant liver raw these days. I find the texture better and the flavor is much better that way. To me, I try to get this much liver in 4 or 5 times a week. Doesn't always happen, but we do our best. Then I had some fatty steak. I don't know what kind this is actually. Some no-name steak from the supermarket. Grass-fed, fatty, really delicious. The fat on these is actually yellow, but hey, the white balance is off. And it tastes a little bit like sunflower butter. It's kind of grassy, I suppose. I don't know. These are grass-fed, so go figure. The fat on them is really soft and edible. And it's probably the most delicious part of the steak. Don't forget the butter that I pan-seared them in, leaving them somewhat raw inside. I also added more butter after they were done, but I tend to eat a lot of butter, or tallow, or lard, or all of the above. Then my wonderful wife strained some more kefir. I don't care what anybody says. Dairy is the absolute best thing in the world for us. And she also decapitated tomorrow's lunch. My last meal of the day was about a pound and a half of cheeseburgers. Forgive me, I neglected to picture the cheese and the butter that I cooked these burgers in. But I wanted to shift your attention to the eggs for just a moment. Now, I took this plate outside to get some more natural lighting, but since it was evening time and all that was available was blue skylight, the lighting still doesn't give justice to the color of the yolk. If you could notice the white part of the plate on the bottom right, you'll see that it's really kind of bluish. It is what it is. Trust me, our yolks are literally orange. Now, our chickens are fed meat, sprouted corn, some cooked rice, and all types of vegetables, kitchen scraps. And obviously they forage, they eat grass, bugs. We also feed them grubs, but maybe I'll make a video about our grub system when I have some time. Anyway, even though the yolks are, pretty orange, the one on the bottom left is slightly less so. Now, I believe that's because these chickens are pasture raised. They get to roam around and, forage their own food. They're hunters and gatherers, essentially. It would seem to me that the chicken that laid an egg on the top right is probably better at foraging, or it's a better hunter, or maybe it's just bigger and is able to, bully the other chickens and get better nutrition. I'm not sure. But basically, the point I'm trying to make is that when you have pasture raised eggs, and your chickens just get to roam around and they're naturally raised, there's going to be some variety to your eggs. Now, I would also like you to notice the white of the egg and that dark rim around the white. This isn't the best angle to show this, but these whites literally sit up, so to speak. They're, when you crack the egg and put it on the plate, the white just doesn't just go all over the place. It's very dense and almost gelatinous. Not quite, but you get the picture. It's really almost solid, very, very dense. Now that's because you get those whites. When you do get those whites, you know the hen that laid the egg is getting enough protein and enough quality protein, which also means that your egg is going to contain more protein. And this leads me to my next point, because as I was plugging these foods into Chronometer, I'm thinking to myself, our eggs do not figure in this database. Our goat's milk is not in this database. This grass-fed lamb, grass-fed beef here from Ecuador, you know, it's probably a lot more nutritious than the stuff that's produced in the Western world. At the very least, that's what I noticed after eating Western food, be it Europe or the United States. Coming down here, that the food here is a lot more filling and a lot more nutritious. It has to be, provided the animals are raised properly, right? So as I'm plugging this stuff into Chronometer and getting my values, I'm thinking to myself, how accurate can these be? And these values are probably underestimated. So say Chronometer told me that for this specific day I ate 4,700 calories. It was probably a little bit more than that. Chronometer was also telling me that the goat kefir that I chose, didn't have any potassium in it, which is nonsense. Of course it does. So I wonder about vitamin and nutritional content. But be that as it may, with Chronometer underestimating these more nutritious foods that I consume in comparison to Western world foods, American foods, I got about 47, a little bit over 4,700 calories. My macros, protein fat, were about 70-30. I tend to eat more fat right now. I was eating a little bit more protein back then to gain muscle mass back, and I think it worked. And, all my vitamins and minerals were basically there according to Chronometer, but in reality, they were probably all good. I have to assume that because, again, you know, Chronometer's telling me goat kefir doesn't have potassium. Get out of here. Anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say. Oh, my protein was at about 300%, which is just crazy, I guess, but I don't care. Anyway, that's what I was eating about 2 weeks ago, trying to gain the weight that I had lost, mostly muscle mass, back, and it seems to have worked. I'm not quite there yet, but that's really it. That's all I wanted to say. Maybe I'll make another video about how I eat these days. You guys let me know what you think. Leave me some comments, questions, what have you. But for the time being, thank you for watching and have a good day.